Then, in spite of the failure of his first search, he began a second, after having told Gaetano to roast one of the two kids. The second visit was a long one, and when he returned the kid was roasted and the repast ready. Franz was sitting on the spot where he was on the previous evening when his mysterious host had invited him to supper. And he saw the little yacht, now like a seagull on the wave, continuing her flight towards Corsica. "Why," he remarked to Gaetano, "you told me that Signor Sinbad was going to Malaga. Well, it seems he is in the direction of Porto Vecchio. Don't you remember?" said the patron. "I told you that among the crew were 2 Corsican brigands." "True, and he's going to land them," added Franz. "Precisely so," replied Gaetano. "Ah, he is one who fears neither God nor Satan, they say, and would at any time run 50 leagues out of his course to do a poor devil a service. But such services as these might involve him with the authorities of the country in which he practices this kind of philanthropy," said Franz. "And what cares he for that?" replied Gaetano with a laugh. "Or any authorities. He smiles at them. Let them try to pursue them. Why, in the first place, his yacht is not a ship but a bird, and he would beat any frigate 3 knots in every 9. And if he were to throw himself on the coast, why, is he not certain of finding friends everywhere?" I'm wondering now if Dante did some sort of mesmerism trick on Franz. Franz is obsessed with Sinbad, isn't he? He just wants to know the truth. He wants to get to the bottom of everything and continually surprised at the new details that are coming out. And Gaetano's like, "What do you expect, man? He's rich. Rich people can do whatever they want. Who's going to try to stop him? The authorities? Nah. That ship he's got, that's a rich person's ship, which means no one's going to catch him on that. That thing's fast as shit." And I'm recognizing a self-aware moment here that in 2026, we're always applying this stupid multiverse, cinematic universe idea to literally everything. But I couldn't help but flag the idea that Dante is escorting 2 Corsicans off to, well, I guess Corsica. But that Dumas also wrote a book called The Corsican Brothers. Definitely not a reference to that. Just happens to be in the same area. But that's where my broken 2026 media brain goes. I've been thinking a bit about what Dumas is doing with Dante here, and having read The Three Musketeers now, I'm still a little perplexed, but there's a thing that Dumas tends to do. And again, I'm not saying this as an expert who just read only 2 Dumas books, although I've read the Corsican Brothers as well. But in Three Musketeers, and okay, let me start over. If we were to start the story here with Franz, rather than having the first quarter of the book of Dante going to prison and coming out and getting in for all that stuff that we covered, if we just started it with Franz, learning about Dante through his Sinbad persona, this is the way that Dumas is presenting Dante here is something that he seems to like to do, which is to present characters by reputation first, and then we learn about them through exposition, through action, through meeting them and keeping that mystique up a bit. Think of the Abbe Faria. We met him only, very briefly, just a taste, right, when Dante was imprisoned before they met. But going back one step before that, we hear of the Abbe Faria as the Mad Abbe the moment that Dante is put into a cell, and they say that the previous occupant was a Mad Abbe, fill in the blank, he's down in the dungeons now. Like, Faria's reputation preceded him before we actually met him. Now, that's not true across the board. You can't do that with every single character. But in Three Musketeers, that happens a bit with the Cardinal, who is a character with a ton of power, and depending on which character has the allegiance to him or opposition to him, will give you a different version. We meet him eventually, but his reputation is kind of built up before we do. Conversely, though, I mean, if I'm thinking Three Musketeers, Dumas also writes, like with Aramis, Porthos, and Athos, It's not that their reputation precedes them, but that we learn of them through witnessing their reputation. What gives them a reputation? Their different personalities. It's not like D'Artagnan, in which we are experiencing things through their eyes. They embody so much of who they are right from the get-go that you understand individually and collectively why they have the reputation that they do. But so bringing that back to this story, if we are just starting it from Franz's perspective here, that's essentially what Dumas is doing with Dante. I don't fully understand the break from giving us pre-Dante and now post-Dante and kind of reintroducing us to him as a foreign character. I'm going to trust that it has a purpose at some point. It is putting me more on my heels than it is making me lean in, though. I gotta say, I'll be the first to admit, I'm still fascinated and curious by what is going on and what is to come. It's just that now that we are in the second quarter of this book, I want something new to sink my teeth into, and I feel like I'm constantly slipping off of everything I try to grasp onto. So, okay, join me here tomorrow with a little bit more of Chapter 32. We're past the halfway point, folks. Until then, okay, goodbye! The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.